right, this is it. The last episode of Connection Revealed. This story has been special to me in many ways. Often while I was writing it, I felt like I was in trouble. I wasn't sure if I would ever be able to finish it from a creative point of view, but also financially. And with the help of supporters around the world who really stepped up and became a member of the Bells and Whistles Theater during the production of this story, Connection Revealed, I was able to finish this story. So from the bottom of my heart to you know who you are, thank you. Welcome to the Lesbian Romantic podcast. This is Connection Revealed, Part 50. October 30th, 2063. Fire Blue Territory, North American Province. 8:30 a.m. local time. Louise groaned and gasped for air, bumping into the wall with the back of her head a little too hard. Ow! She laughed. That hurts. Are you okay? Elle chuckled breathlessly, her face still buried in Louise's neck. Louise rested her head against the wall, trying to catch her breath. I am more than okay, she grinned. Raking her teeth over the skin of Louise's neck, Elle said, Good, because I'm not done with you. Louise laughed again. Oh no, I need food first. You can't do this to me again without food. But I missed you so much, Elle said. I want you in bed with me. You barely let me get through the front door. Louise sighed happily, wrapping her arms around Elle's neck and shoulders. And I missed you too. I think you're more beautiful than when you left, Elle said, flicking her tongue over Louise's earlobe playfully. Chuckling, Louise replied, I doubt it. I barely slept over there, and then I drove all night. You look as good as new, Elle said, sighing happily. And you feel so good. Louise smiled. You feel good too. She pressed the side of her head against Elle's. And yeah, things feel new. They do. Elle agreed. It's pretty crazy. And intense, Louise added. Elle kissed Louise's cheek tenderly. Very intense. She breathed into Louise's ear. Louise shifted against the wall as she thought. I like intense, she finally decided. Elle pulled back a little to meet her gaze. Me too, she said. I'm glad we got that back. Smiling, Louise nodded. Yeah. We were on autopilot, I guess. It's good too. She stopped and thought again. To really be here with each other? Elle suggested. Yes, Louise smiled. Exactly that. Elle straightened and winced a little. Oh, I'm getting too old for lovemaking against the wall. Louise's laugh came all the way from her belly. No, you're not. You're just out of shape, she quickly added. Just a little. Elle arched an eyebrow. Are you complaining? No, Louise shook her head. Anything but. Let's go to the kitchen and eat, Elle grinned. That might help. Thank you, Louise said with another chuckle. That will certainly help for me. They sat down at the small kitchen table, where Elle had already placed a big pot, plates, cutlery, and a basket with bread. What's this? Louise asked. I made food, Elle said with a shrug. Really? Louise said. That's also new. Elle stuck out her tongue. Hey, I used to cook all the time. I figured you'd be happy to have something to eat after 2 days in the desert. I am, Louise said in delight, but not because of the food. This is awesome. Taste it first, Elle said, pointing at the pot. She walked to the kitchen counter and picked something up. I also make cookies. Really? Louise gasped. Elle blushed and put a plate with odd-looking cookies down. Yes, maybe that's a better fit in the morning. How were they? Louise poked at a cookie. I haven't tried them yet, she said. I meant Michelle and Jade, Elle replied, moving her chair until she could sit right next to Louise. Louise grinned back at her, holding the cookie up for inspection. They're better than I thought they would be. Elle arched an eyebrow. More details, please? Putting the cookie back down, Louise nodded more seriously. They're doing the best they can. Jade is very resourceful. I think they'll be okay as long as I bring some supplies now and then. Things are getting pretty bad out there, Elle sighed, leaning back against the chair. For now, the global government is leaving us in peace, but I wonder if it will stay that way. I think it will, Louise replied. Ben did a great job getting our technology out there. Scientists are working hard to replicate it worldwide. There's no excuse for the global government to attack us. Yet, Elle said immediately. The next government might have a different focus and look for a scapegoat. They always do. There's nothing more we can do, Louise said, reaching for Elle's hand. And Ellen is doing a great job with the underground diplomatic channels. I know, but... Elle said. Baby, Louise interrupted her, starting to feel a little overwhelmed. I just want to enjoy being back here with you. I don't want to worry about things we can't control. I mean, I know we need to talk about these things, but can we do that later? Elle smiled. You're right. She squeezed Louise's hand. This is more important now. We are more important. Louise ran her thumb over Elle's fingers. Thank you. Let's talk about you and, Stucky. Louise smiled tiredly. Is he on another walk with Benjamin? Yeah, Elle said, rolling her eyes. Those two are like 2 peas in a pod. Louise shook her head in disbelief. I hope he still wants to live with us. I thought he would have wanted to be here to greet me. Of course he does, Elle said, moving a little closer. I thought you were hungry, she whispered against Louise's lips. Realization dawned on Louise. Oh, she whispered back. You made sure Stucky wasn't here, didn't you? Elle grinned. Just a few hours, no interruptions. I guess that does sound good, Louise replied, kissing Elle. I think I might not need to eat after all. Their tongues danced tenderly as their hands moved over each other's bodies. When Louise came up for air, gasping, Elle knelt onto the floor, hands raking over Louise's legs. Sure you don't want a cookie first? She asked as she looked up with fire in her eyes. Louise swallowed with difficulty. I'm sure. Soon after, Louise once more threw her head back, gasping. Jade peered into the distance, struggling to see anything now that the sunlight bounced off the desert. She smiled and quickly bent down a little. Is it working today? She asked Michelle, who was knelt down in the little shade there was on the platform to check the readings. I think it is, Michelle said. Damn, it's so hot. Yeah, I used to have special gear to be out here, Jade replied. Maybe Louise can bring us some one day. Michelle nodded. That would be welcome. This is unbearable. I know, Jade smiled and stroked Michelle's back. Michelle's long-sleeved shirt was already damp with sweat. But there's 2 of us and we can work fast together. I just hope it keeps working this time, Michelle said, looking up at Jade. It never did for more than 2 days. Yeah, I hope so too, Jade said. We'd be able to predict what we're facing in the desert much better once this sensor works. Then we know when not to get out here. Sounds perfect, Michelle chuckled. We're a great team, Jade grinned. We are, Michelle said and straightened. Fuck, it's worse standing up. Why are you still standing here? To look at the desert, Jade smiled. Michelle smiled too. Of course. Let's go inside though. We need to hydrate, Jade said. We've been out for too long. They quickly climbed down the ladder of the platform they'd built in the last few weeks. It was a short but hot walk back to the bunker. They hurried inside, closing the door behind them with a sigh of relief. All right, what's next today? Michelle asked, wiping her forehead. A shower, Jade said, taking off her clothes to hang them on the rack they'd put up in the hallway. Do we have enough water? Michelle asked. Probably not, Jade said, unless we shower together and make it quick. We can do that, Michelle grinned, now in her underwear too. I said, we have to make it quick, Jade laughed. We can do that, Michelle repeated, mischief in her eyes. Quicker than that, Jade laughed again. In and out of the shower within 20 seconds. Right, Michelle replied, pouting. I guess we need to focus on work anyway. Jade nodded slowly, although she briefly wondered if that is indeed what they should be doing. Did their work even matter? Hey, Michelle said, as if sensing Jade's hesitance. We're making great progress. I know, Jade sighed. I'm just not sure if it will ever make a difference. If you are right and we can figure out a way to build these small cells and charge them with makeshift panels, you could help people around the world who are left without power. Jade nodded slowly. Only if I can get the plans to them. No one will take us seriously, and most of them are disconnected for now anyway. Michelle grabbed Jade's hand. We'll find a way. When we show this to Louise, I'm sure she too will want to find a way. The rebels will find a way. It's in their interest too. Yeah, Jade said, smiling at Michelle. Hopefully. We have to actually figure this out first, though. We will, Michelle said, her blue eyes intense. Jade shook her head in amused disbelief. She could never have predicted that Michelle would turn out to be a great partner in something that could undermine the global authorities. You've changed a lot, she said pensively, still standing in the hallway of the bunker. It was still pretty hot here because they had turned down the air conditioning to save energy. Michelle looked down at her body. She'd become a bit more muscular from all their hard work. I have. I'm not talking about the way you look, Jade said. I know, Michelle grinned again. The sparkle in her eyes was present almost daily now, another thing that had changed. Who knew living in hiding at the edge of the desert would suit Michelle Becker? But it really did. With every day that passed, Michelle seemed to become more joyous and more free. And Jade didn't think she could take all the credit for it. Sure, they were still in the honeymoon phase of their intense relationship, but she had a feeling Michelle enjoyed having a new mission. I like that we have something to work on that is more than our own survival, Michelle said, rubbing her tanned arm. It fills our days with... She tilted her head as she thought. Purpose? Jade suggested, thinking it had to be the word Michelle was looking for. Yes, but, Michelle said, I used to think I had purpose, right? But I was always angry and looking for someone to blame. It feels different now. It sure does, Jade said. It's the same for me, in a way. I feel like I'm finally doing something useful. If we can make it work. We will, Michelle said again and kissed Jade on the lips. Jade tasted sweat and sand as she briefly deepened the kiss, pulling Michelle into her arms. I like you so much now that I know you, she whispered in Michelle's ear. Michelle chuckled. I like me too, now that I know me. Jade laughed. And I like you, of course, Michelle added, moving her hands to Jade's sides. Especially how ticklish you can be. No, Jade said and jumped back. Michelle raised her hands in the air. I didn't do anything. You were about to, Jade said and hurried through the door on her way to the bathroom. You have to let me shower with you, Michelle yelled after her. You'll have to wait until it rains, Jade yelled back, rushing through their bedroom past the former bunk bed now turned into a very slim two-person bed. Hell no, Michelle replied, catching up with her just as Jade stepped under the improvised shower head. You tricked me into that last time, and I had sand in every place you don't want sand. They both laughed and then shrieked when the cold water hit their skin. But Jade had never felt happier in her life as in this moment. And the moment that followed, and the moment that followed after that. 13, 12, 11, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The end. Turn off the water. Okay, another story finished. Another time that I got to say the end. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to this story by commenting on posts about it, by sending some financial help, or by becoming a member of the Bells and Whistles Theater or my old patron page. Without your support, without your enthusiasm, this story would have been unfinished forever. So thank you. Thank you for helping me out. Thank you for encouraging me when I needed it the most. And now, we look forward to another adventure, to a new journey, to a new story. And I've actually already started working on it. The first episode has been out for theater members. If you go to patreon.com/lesbianromantic, you will see that there are now 2 episodes. This week, there will be 2 episodes of the new story, Waking Up is Easy, are available this week for patrons. Now, on this free public feed, I'm going to take a short break between seasons, and I'll be back here end of November, so November 26th. If you want to find out all there is to know about the new story, go to patreon.com/lesbianromantic, where you can become a free member and get all the behind-the-scenes updates for free members. You'll stay in the loop that way, and you don't have to get out your credit card or anything. Just sign up with an email address. And if you want to get early access to the newest story, to the first episodes, please consider becoming a member of the Bells and Whistles Theater. You'll be the first to hear new episodes, you'll get access to lots and lots of extras, and you will help to keep this podcast going, which is not easy. I'm a small indie podcast for a very niche audience, and yeah, we're kind of in this together. We keep this podcast going together. So patreon.com/lesbianromantic. And you can either sign up for free or become a supporting patron as a member of the Bells and Whistles Theater. See you there. And here in a couple of weeks.